In Ecuador, the National Assembly's Oversight Commission debates the report on the impeachment trial against President Guillermo Lasso, accused of embezzlement. In Russia, the Foreign Ministry denounced before the United Nations the non-compliance with commitments to supply Russian agricultural products to world market. And in Palestine, Israeli occupation forces continue the siege of Jericho for the last 15 days, causing great losses to the region's economy that depends on tourism. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. On Saturday, the Oversight Commission of Ecuador's National Assembly voted on the report on the impeachment trial against President Guillermo Lasso, accused of embezzlement. In the session, the draft report prepared by a team of advisors of the Commission was evaluated, which concluded that the President of the Republic did not incur in the alleged crime of embezzlement. On this basis, the document recommends the members of the Legislative Board not to continue with the impeachment process promoted by the opposing benches to the government. Once the Oversight Commission decides whether or not to accept the recommendations, the President of the Assembly, Virgilio Saquicela, has up to 5 days to convene the plenary for the impeachment process. 92 votes in favor will be required for the approval of the motion. Brazilian President Luis Ignacio da Silva has confirmed his advisor and former Foreign Minister Celso Amorim will travel to Kiev to focus on the issue of peace in the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Lula has traveled to England to attend the coronation of King Charles III as part of a tour to strengthen Brazil's international ties. At a press conference in London, the Brazilian president said that next week Celso Amorim will be in Kiev after having been to Moscow as part of an effort by the Brazilian government to seek and negotiate a peace to the Russian-Ukrainian conflict. Now he will be meeting Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. President Lula said that the war must be stopped so that a solution to the conflict can be negotiated. Colombian President Gustavo Petro called on the nation's Attorney General Francisco Barbosa to assist, in accordance with the law, in the investigation of crimes against humanity. President Petro reminded the Attorney General that according to the Colombian Constitution, he is the President of the Republic and the Attorney General's office has the obligation to present information about the investigation it is carrying out when requested to do so. The statements of the Colombian head of state follow a controversy between him and the Attorney General after a journalist asked if the public ministry knew about the link between prosecutor Daniel Hernandez and the Gulf clan, who, according to the journalist, had filed investigations on 14 alleged members of the criminal organization. Petro recognized the division of power while asking the prosecutor to provide answers about the 200 people killed between 2008 and 2010 by the Gulf clan. On Friday, the government of Colombia and the dissidents of the FARC have informed that they postpone indefinitely the installation of the peace talks table, assuring that the conditions to start them have not yet been completed. In a statement signed by both parties, they pointed out, among other issues, that the arrest warrants for the leaders of the dissidents involved in the negotiations have not yet been lifted. Likewise, the document explains that it is necessary to adjust the mechanisms for citizen participation at the table to guarantee its breadth and diversity, and to consolidate with speed and responsibility the full functioning of the monitoring mechanisms. The decision was taken at the meeting held in the Colombian city of Caqueta. In Peru, a right-wing extremist group attacked this Friday the facilities of independent media Ideal Reporters in Lima. In a new hostile act against the press, members of the self-described group The Resistance threw objects and trash bags to the media's headquarters, besides lighting flares, shouting insults, and throwing fireworks trying to frighten its journalists. The National Journalists Association denounced the facts and pointed out that a dozen police officers were on the scene and did not react to the aggression. These events took place after last February 27th, the same extremist group attacked journalists of the public channel TV Peru. On Friday, Nicaragua confirmed the implementation of a trade agreement with China. The early harvest agreement, signed on July 12, 2022, allows zero-tax imports and exports and is considered a preamble to a future free trade agreement. Nicaraguan Finance Minister Ivan Acosta said the new agreement gives Nicaraguan producers access a huge market of over 1.4 billion high consumers, especially of food products, the fastest growing market for the past 40 years. Nicaragua will be able to export vegetables, red beans, raw peanuts, rum, clothing, and automobile harnesses. Meanwhile, the Nicaraguan market will open to a wide range of Chinese products like plants, flowers, garlic, sweet corn, sardines, tuna, confectionery pasta, bakery products, fish, food, agricultural inputs, insecticides, fungicides, herbicides, plastic, tires, raw materials, textiles, and toys. In the Dominican Republic, blackouts of up to 12 hours were reported in several sectors during the last 2 days. According to the National Electric System Coordinating Body, these constant blackouts are due to the failure of 5 generating plants for lack of fuel and other unspecified causes. The company explained that Unit 1 of Punta Catalina thermoelectric power plant is available. However, it is only producing 80 megawatts out of an installed capacity for generating 362 megawatts. Likewise, residents of sectors such as Sabana Perdida and Pantoja suffer the interruption of service an average of 10 to 12 hours a day. The deficit in energy generation affecting the Caribbean island is forcing the distribution companies to apply blackout schedules. Cubans remember the explosion of Saratoga Hotel in Havana 1 year after this incident, which killed several people, left some wounded, and caused serious material damages. The accident took place on the morning of May 6, 2022, in the historic center of Havana, claiming the lives of 47 people and injuring 99, most of them hotel workers and people who were walking around the place at the time of the explosion. The event caused material damages to the 3 lower floors of the building, as well as to some 23 buildings in the area. The incident occurred while a liquid gas truck was supplying the tourist facility, and a gas leak caused the building to fill with the fuel and subsequently explode on contact with an ignition source. The accident evidenced the solidarity of the Cuban people, who turned out to support those affected and collaborated with rescuers for over 144 hours. Let's take now a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news updates, and much more. Other stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back from the South. On Saturday, Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Vershinin denounced before the United Nations a lack of progress in exports of Russian agricultural products. In a meeting with the head of the UN Conference on Trade and Development, Rebecca Greenspan, the Russian government official asked the world body to fully engage in facilitating the unimpeded export of Russian food and fertilizer, including ammonia, to global markets. Vershinin's statements came a day after representatives of Russia, Ukraine, Turkey, and the UN were unable to reach an agreement on the continuation of Ukrainian grain exports from Black Sea ports. In a meeting held on Friday, the parties failed to authorize any new ships under a deal allowing a safe Black Sea export of Ukrainian grain, though daily inspections of previously authorized ships continue. On Saturday, dozens of South Koreans in Seoul protested a day ahead of Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida's visit to South Korea as the two countries seek to reset their relationship. Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida will begin a 2-day official visit to South Korea on Sunday, the first trip by a Japanese leader in more than a decade. Kishida will meet with President Yoon Suk-yeol, who has made restoring ties with Japan one of his top priorities just weeks after the South Korean leader visited Tokyo in March. Relations between Seoul and Tokyo, both key allies in United States regional security, have long been strained because of Japan's brutal colonial occupation of the Korean peninsula since 1910 to 1945, which included the imposition of forced labor and sexual slavery.
Yoon Suk-yeol and Kishida Fumio are basically following orders from the United States to cover up any historical issues between South Korea and Japan in order to create the South Korea-United States-Japan trilateral military alliance.
When Prime Minister Kishida arrives tomorrow, he must sincerely apologize for Japan's crimes against humanity and fulfill its responsibilities. This must be discussed during tomorrow's summit, and we must demand it.
teleSUR English continues to grow. You can now tune in from 33 different African countries through StarSat. Dial 461 and enjoy Latin American Continent's broadcast. One final short break and we'll be right back. Don't go away. Welcome back from the south. On Saturday, Palestinian authorities reported that the city of Jericho has been under siege by the Israeli occupation forces for 15 days. The measure of force is causing great losses to the region, whose economy depends on tourism. The Israeli army continues to maintain military units to control access to the city by stopping and searching any vehicle or truck entering the city and preventing the passage of people and goods. The government of Jericho and the Jordan Valley reported that the latest statistics show an estimated loss of $30 million in the first 4 months of the year. The government also mentioned that so far this year the Israeli army has caused more than 6 deaths in the city. They also detailed the demolition of 12 Palestinian homes and 55 others were ordered to be demolished. Israeli settlers on Saturday destroyed more than 200 olive saplings for a Palestinian farmer in the town of Karf al-Dik in the occupied West Bank. According to Palestinian farmer teleSUR Ali Hamna, a group of Israeli settlers sneaked into his island on the outskirts of the town and smashed 258 olive saplings which he had planted over the last few years. Ahmad further added he had invested around $20,000 in land maintenance, including planting nearly 500 olive saplings. Israeli settler violence against Palestinians and their property is commonplace in the West Bank and is rarely prosecuted by Israeli authorities. On Saturday, mourners carried the bodies of 2 Palestinians killed by Israeli forces in Tulkarim, West Bank. As reported by the Palestinian Ministry of Health, the Israeli army killed on Saturday 2 Palestinians in the occupied West Bank during a raid that the occupation army claimed was linked to the search for suspects involved in a shooting attack in Afnei Haft on May 2nd, where they alleged an Israeli civilian was wounded. With this new episode of violence, the number of Palestinians killed in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict so far this year rises to 108. We have come to the end of this news briefing. You can find these and many other stories on our website, telesurenglish.net. Also join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For Telesur English, I'm with Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.